before I come to the main topic of today's lecture, I briefly want to talk about an important point that was brought up by one of the pioneers after watching the first lecture. If you recall, in the auction example that I showed you, I created three endpoints: start to start the auction, bid to make a bid, and then close to finalize the auction. And for close, there were two scenarios. Either there was a bid high enough. In that case, when invoking close, the token goes to the highest bidder and the highest bid goes to the seller of the token. And if there was no such bid, then on invoking close, the token goes back to the seller. And this pioneer asked the question, what would happen if the close endpoint wasn't there? And surely the money couldn't stay forever, be locked in the contract. And that is a really important point, because what you have to realize is that the blockchain itself, the UTXOs on the blockchain, are just data. They are absolutely passive. So in order for anything to happen, there must be a transaction. So in order to make progress, in order to change the state of the blockchain, there must be a new transaction being submitted from somebody from the outside that consumes various UTXOs and produces new ones. So only new transactions change the state. And UTXO is just a passive thing, just passively sitting there. So it will never spring into action by itself and do something. So you can't have a smart contract that sits on the blockchain and then at some point suddenly performs an action. If you want anything to happen, it must always be triggered by a transaction, and transactions always come from the outside, from a user, from a wallet. Therefore, we really need this close endpoint if we want the auction to be settled. So, of course, in my example, the close was manually triggered, so I invoked that in the simulator. Obviously, you could write a contract for the wallet that runs on the wallet in a way that automatically does that. So when we talk about how to write scripts for the wallet later, we will see that you can do quite sophisticated logic. So you could do something that automatically sleeps until the deadline is reached in the auction example, and then automatically invokes the close endpoint and triggers the close transaction. But from the point of view of the blockchain, that doesn't matter. It's always an external trigger that does something. So nothing happens if it's not externally triggered. So that's very important to keep in mind. And thank you very much for bringing that up.